February has already come and gone, and we're able to focus on our own history beyond 29 days.
Yeah.
Let us keep on doing things because we ourselves are writing our own histories day by day. There was a word I'd like to lift up today from the book of Esther, the 4th chapter and the 14th verse specifically. We were discussing this particular passage in our board meeting last week, and a certain part of it came to mind, so I said, you know what, why not preach that? Because we are together, we are united.
Amen.
We are all working together.
Yes, sir. Amen.
Once again, Esther, the 4th chapter and the 14th verse. Do you think that because you are in the king's house, you alone of all the Jews will escape? For if you remain silent at this time, relief and deliverance for the Jews will arise from another place, but you and your father's family will perish. And who knows but that you have come to this royal position for such a time as this. Feeling his presence without seeing his hand. That's what I want to impress upon you today. Feeling his presence without seeing his hand. And as I speak this word into your hearing, if that is your reality in any place, during any time in your life, just let there be a twinkle in your eye, or a smile on your face, or I know it's early, you might want to do an audible amen. Feeling his presence without seeing his hand, right? This statement made by Queen Esther at a defining moment in her life shows us very clearly that things don't just happen without a purpose or a reason that's beyond us. This statement of belief made about why Esther was in the place designated as the Queen's chair implies that events don't just unfold by chance, but rather in response to an unseen plan that God has in his mind. Why many don't always know about his plan, we have to realize that God has an intention in it. All right. We may not be aware of his plan, nor how an event unfolds in gentle degrees and occurs, but we can be assured that it doesn't happen at random without an intention in mind. The same God who is the prime mover before anything that is acts like an unseen hand. Before there was a when or a where, God said, let there be, and there was. All right. Before there was an answer to your prayer, before you prayed it, God answered it, and he said, let there be, and it was. Therefore, our lives unfold with strategic interventions made by the wise and unseen hand of the Lord.
Right.
It happens for a reason, and it's always a strategy involved. Now, for those who may be of a younger mind, I want to say it this way to sort of drive the point across. There was a young rabbit, according to the story, that was fascinated by its newfound speed, and was often seen outrunning every creature in the woods. Anybody thought they were fast? The rabbit would challenge them, and they drag race from one stoplight to the next. In short, he took on anything that moved and always proved to be the fastest. His parents left him alone one day and went on a journey. Before they left, his parents deliberately pricked his foot with a thorn, and they didn't explain why they did it. When left alone, the little rabbit limped around in pain for hours. After a while of this tradition being continued, each time his parents left home, the young rabbit finally demanded an explanation. Why do you stick my foot? Start getting older, you know. When little rabbits get older, they start asking questions. Why do you stick my foot every time you leave me home alone? It doesn't make sense, and it seems cruel for you to do this to me and treat me this way. They responded, finally, there's a hound dog and a skillful hunter, and they especially love chasing little fast rabbits. No doubt you give them a good run. It may not make sense to you, but it's better to live being a little bunny with a sore foot than to have a dead rabbit reputation who was fast.
Right.
It didn't make sense to him at all, but that sore foot was keeping him alive. So I ask today, what's your sore foot? That thing that keeps happening that stops you from doing something. You can't figure out why. Maybe it's because the Lord is stopping you from getting in harm's way. There's a reason for all things, and we don't always understand why. So even when things tend to happen that seems to make no sense, just know that everything has a purpose. Everything has an undisclosed reason, and many times we are not made privy, we're not privileged to know it all at once.
All right. Amen.
However, by and by, when the morning comes, we will understand it better by and by. Well, that's what happened when Jesus' critics asked him why the blind man was born without vision. Did he sin, or did his parents do so and set in motion some kind of misfortune that would be visited on the children for several generations beyond their action? And Jesus' reply stated that the man was born blind, so he could be present at that very moment to demonstrate the healing power of God.
All right.
His blindness was there for such a time as this.
All right.
To be a condition that God would change in the presence of others so that their faith could be strengthened in Him. What's yours, Soulfoot?
All right.
Maybe it's there for a reason. It's not there to be there always. But when the time is right, maybe it's a tailor-made opportunity for God to do something to change it. And when it does it, others will see it and have faith in God because He took the soreness out of your foot.
All right. Amen.
Oh, I hope you understand what I'm driving at. Sometimes our calamities, though we don't understand why we have to deal with them, the things that happen in our lives, though we can't make any sense out of it, it's set for a moment for God to intervene. And when He does, He blesses other folk because He shows that He can do the same for them.
Yeah.
That's why we sing that song, "It is no secret what God can do." What He does for others at the right time. What He does for others at the right moment. He can and will do for you, and He will do it for me. And so it is with many of us, as I alluded to just now, that the circumstances we live through for unexplainable reasons, they all have a moment that God can use that same circumstance to cause somebody else to be blessed.
All right.
Amen.
At the right pivotal moment, the unseen hand of God will arrange for those situations and those circumstances and those abilities and talents that we have to be used for such a time as this. The unseen hand of God operates in each life to guide and to control.
Amen.
To tear down and to build up as His will dictates for the moment. And those of us who are in tune with God's frequency and walk with Him in the Spirit can feel His presence daily without seeing His hand.
All right. Amen.
Whatever God is doing, He's doing it, and I am confident that He has a higher purpose, a higher reason for it all that will become clearer to us then. It'll become clearer then. The word spoken by Queen Esther to Mordecai concerning his conviction about why she was, where she was, when she was,
All right.
is an example of a sharp revelation of God's purpose acted out through the life of a person. That just goes to show you that God has a purpose in our lives as well.
All right.
Oh, God is not just acting out by Himself. He includes us.
Yes.
And somehow there's something going on in our own life, and He has a purpose for it, and it'll be revealed at the right time.
Yes, it will.
Mordecai speaks a conviction that Esther's rise to the throne of Persia was destined so that she could save her people from destruction.
All right. Amen.
Esther's rise to the throne of Persia happened during a time when God's people were captives of Persia. Matter of fact, the name of God is not mentioned at all in the whole book of Esther. Read it for yourself.